White Plume Mountain is a 1999 novel by Paul Kidd, and this guy actually wrote one Forgotten Realms novel, I think, but I am much more a Forgotten Realms reader, for those unaware, than I am a Greyhawk reader. But I haven't read that Forgotten Realms novel, but it is called Council of Blades. But anyways, this is based off the classic adventure module of the same name, obviously, set in the Greyhawk setting, which I actually have played through a little bit of. The series is different than the earlier Gygax and Estes and Bailey Greyhawk novels. These are Greyhawk classics, and this was the second, actually, but first in a trilogy, all written by Kidd. The second being Descent in the Depths of the Earth, and the third being Queen of the Demonwood Pits. Finally, the adventure series was different, as White Plume Mountain being S2, and the others being, well, the latter two are in the series D1, 2, and Q1, but being the latter parts of that arc. Our characters are the Justicar, a terse, bald fighter, and Escala, a fairy, and Cinder, a sentient cloak, like a hellhound cloak, though, actually. And there are other characters, some of which provide comic relief to the wild story as Kid tries to make sense of the willy-nilly nature of Gygax's adventure. The story first introduces an enemy in the form of an Arrhenius, a devil. She is named Sala, and her plans, kind of come into focus for the Floness. And then a talkative teamster tells us of a war waged by Yuz a few years ago, or a few years before. The common year is 588 at the time, and Polk is leading the Justicar. The Justicar is looking for the problems around the Franz River, demarcating Niron and the Duchy of Ernst, and there is more to the area on the map at the start too. Enemies include ogres and thieves guilds, and the way Whelm, Wave, and Black Razor, magical items in the dungeon, are used is nice. It actually sets up the White Plume Mountain portion of the story pretty well, which is arrived at actually about halfway through the book, so it takes a second to actually get to that dungeon. Escala and the Justar aren't friends at first. The Justar has a name. He doesn't use it. He just uses his title. Kind of like a paladin of sorts. He spent time, ranger, I guess, too. He spent time with the dwarves and elves, and he's a lonesome ranger, really trying to serve justice for the little man. Escala is a ribald and immature thieving pixie, and the humor, especially with her, sometimes comes off as a bit juvenile, generally not very funny. There are moments of joy, but honestly, the amount of times where you're going to talk about cleavage or, butts or whatever, it's just like silly. Again, Escala is like cute, I guess, but it's just too much in a book this long, which is not even that long, obviously. And I think the character of Polk is kind of funny. There's like some gags there that are kind of funny with him, especially one about like, the typical dungeoneering gear you take for like first edition AD&D. Sans the 10-foot pole, which is kind of a funny moment. But besides that, it is kind of an okay adventure in Greyhawk. Every book I've read in Greyhawk has, with the exception of Saga of Old City, which I found really enjoyable, has just been kind of eh. So I don't know, that kind of stinks for the setting. So anyways, it's an okay novel. We shall see how the other ones go, so to speak. Anyways, Liam from Liam's I see my country next time.